Welcome back, guys. Welcome to aArambh, the first step towards your coding career, which would be a roadmap to the IT world. In the module one, what we have covered is all these topics in a sequential manner. You can find this in the playlist. Now we are in module two, where we are going to cover in the fifth video we are now currently, we are going to cover some frequently asked programs on arrays. Okay, without any further ado, let's jump into coding. In arrays, the first program that we are going to cover is how to reverse an array. How to reverse an array. So in this, what I will do is I'll initially first take an array. I'm initializing an array with the values 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in order to reverse an array, my output should be like in the place of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I should get the reverse of it. Let's see how we can try to achieve this. Initially, what we will do is we will take a variable int start equal to 0, and we will take another variable int end equal to end would be at the last, right? When it is at the last, that means that this array has a length which is 5, but the indices are from 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So array dot length would be 5. So we want 5 minus 1, which is 4. Now what we will do is we will try to traverse this array while this start is less than end. As long as this start is less than end, what we will try to do is we will just try to swap the elements. What we are trying to do is swap elements. In order to swap the elements, we have a standard functionality. We will take a temporary variable. Temporary variable is I want to take the first element. First element is at array of 0, which is nothing but array of start. Then what I will do is in temp, for example, for now, let's say if we are at the first iteration, that is I equal to 0. In temp, what I will have is array of 0, which is nothing but in temp, I will have 1. Okay. Then what we will do is we'll say array of start is equal to array of end. So in this case, what happens is array of end. What is the value of array of end? Array of end for now, for this iteration, end value is array of 4. That is nothing but at the fourth index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. At the fourth index, we have 5 value. So the statement that we are trying to execute is at array of start, at array of 0, we are assigning this value 5. At the array of 0, we are assigning this value 5. In temp, we have 5. At array of 0, we assign the value 5. After that, what we will do is array of end equal to temp. When we say array of end equal to temp, what happens is at array of 4, we will get the temp value. What is the temp value? 1. So if you see at array of end, now we have 1 value, and at array of start, that is array of 0, we have 5 value. So here we have got 5 and here we have got 1. So these values are swapped. And this swapping we will do initially with the value of array of 0 and array of 4. We just swapped array of 0 and array of 4. Then after that, what we will do is we will say start plus plus. In the next iteration, start will no longer be 0, it will be 1. And end will no longer be 4, it will be 3. So in the next iteration, what we will do is we will swap array of 1 and array of 3. So what happens is initially we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This values where we have got, in this step we have got. And in the next iteration, sorry, I'm sorry, what we will have is 5, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And in the next iteration, what we will have is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like this, the array would be swapped. So initially this looks very simple, but you need to run the code a couple of times, understand step by step, then you will understand how this logic is implemented. This is a very standard question that is asked in terms of arrays, and the implementation is also a very standard one. So now that we have understood how to reverse an array, we will move to the next program. Next program that we are going to see is how to find minimum or maximum in an array. Minimum or maximum element in an array. So this should also go up here, and I must be commenting this out. Okay, fine. So in order to find the minimum or maximum in an array, let me take another int array with some values. Okay, for example, 10. These are random values that I'm taking. 25, 3, 99, and 45. Okay, before I do this, I think I didn't run the program, right? I just told you that this will be the output. Let me just run the program. After swapping these values, what we will do is we will do a sysout of arrays dot toString of array. This statement arrays dot toString of array should be outside the while loop. So we need to import arrays here. Arrays dot toString of array. So here we have got java.util.arrays packaged directly here. Sometimes we will get this like that when IDE gives us a trouble. For now, it's giving me a trouble, but then it still works. So let me try to run. So here you see in the output, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where the initial array that we have given is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is reversed here. So by following this logic, we can reverse the array. So I am commenting out these two lines. I'll comment out all this program till here. Now I am concentrating on the next program, how to find minimum or maximum in an array. Okay, let's say initially for this step, we'll take minimum from the array. In order to find the minimum from the array, initially what we will do is we will assume that the minimum element is the first element. At the array of 0th index, we have the minimum element. Like that, we will assume. After that, we will try to check every element by iterating through the array. For int, because we have assumed that the first element is the minimum, I'll start iterating from the first element. Int I equal to 1, I less than array dot length. Because array dot length is 5, we don't want to take I less than or equal to 5 because that will give us a array index out of bound exception. So I have taken I less than array dot length, or else we can take I less than or equal to array dot length minus 1 also. Then I say I plus plus Then now I'll do a condition checking. If array of I, if my array of I, that is here at array of I, now first let's say at the first iteration I'm checking array of 1. That is if my second element is less than the first element. If my second element is less than the first element, what does this imply? Second element is the minimum, right? If my second element is less than the first element, that means my second element is the minimum. Then minimum is nothing but what is, where am I storing my second element? In this variable, array of I. Let me repeat this once again. For the first iteration where I equal to 1, array of 1, if this array of 1, the second element, is less than the first element, that is, in the first element here we have stored in a variable min. Array of 0 is the first element. If my second element is less than the first element, that means my second element is the minimum element among these two elements, right? Then my minimum is no longer my first element. It would be my second element. Minimum equal to second element. And where do I have my second element? At array of 1. In a generic fashion, how do we represent array of I? Because we are inside a loop. So when we follow these iterations completely, what happens is the minimum element will get stored in the min variable. So after the for loop, once we come out of the for loop, what we can do is we can safely say that minimum is min. So let me try to run the program. What is our minimum element? That is 3. So we should get 3 as out. So we got 3 as the output. So again, this program will seem very simple, but then when you practice a couple of times, it becomes easier. This is again a standard program. So now what I will do is I will write the program for maximum. Then maybe it will be more clearer. So I am writing the program for maximum. Similar fashion. Initially, I will assign maximum equal to my first element, array of 0. Then I'll go inside the loop. For int I, from the first element, when I say I equal to 1, from the second element, I will be checking I less than array dot length for all the elements. What I want to check is if my second element, if my second element, array of I, here I equal to 1 for the first iteration, right? If my second element is greater than max, if my second element is greater than max, if my second element is greater than first element, which is my max for now, as assumed. If my second element is greater than my first element, that means my second element is my max, right? So in max, I will assign my second element, which is currently inside array of I. So max equal to second element. In the second element, what is that we have? Array of I. So this has a similar logic as the minimum. So when we go through these iterations, when we come out of the for loop, we can safely say that my max element is stored inside the max variable. Max is stored inside the max variable. So our maximum element in the array was 99. Why do I say this? Okay. So when I run, I should see 99 on the console. So I saw max as 99 on the console. This is how we check max or minimum from an array. And these two programs are very standard programs. And this has a very straightforward, this has a very straightforward logic. Just practice for a couple of times, then it will get comfortable. If you have any doubts, you can place a comment in the comment section. I will join in a live Zoom session whenever a possible time is there. We will coordinate. You can share your email ID or mobile number in the comment. I'll get in touch. We can connect in a live Zoom session and I will clarify. So this is how the interaction happens. Whenever you watch a video, if you have a doubt, you're supposed to type in the comment either your email ID or your mobile number, or you can get in touch with my email ID or my mobile number. Then we will connect in a live Zoom session and I will clarify. I'll take 1 hour or 2 hours and I will clarify. There is no, you don't have to worry about anything. And the next program that we will try to do is find the frequency of elements. Find the frequency of elements. So here I'll take an array. Here I'll take an array with values, let's say 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2. These are randomly I'm taking. So here if you see 1 is repeated twice, 1 is repeated twice, 2 is repeated thrice, and 3 is repeated one time, and 4 is repeated once. This is what our objective is, to find the how many times each element is occurring again and again. And this is a very standard problem. Let's try to take it slowly. Okay. So what I will do is there are various approaches to it also. When we go for Java 8, there is a different approach. In Java 8, it is one of the favorite program for the interviewers. But sometimes they will ask without using Java 8, you have to find. So without using Java 8, using normal object-oriented programming, Java 8 is functional programming. With object-oriented programming, normal Java, I mean to say, to keep it very simple, this is how you can do. We will take a Boolean variable. We have a Boolean data type also, right? Which will store values like true and false. We'll take a Boolean variable visited equal to, we are taking a Boolean array here, a Boolean variable, but then we are taking a Boolean array. Boolean visited equal to new Boolean of, what we want to do is we want to initialize it with the size of the array. So whatever is the size of the array we are dealing with, we will initialize it with that value. Then after that, what we will do is we will try to iterate through the array. So this is a standard iteration for int I equal to 0, I less than array dot length. Like I said, if you take I less than or equal to, it should be I less than or equal to array dot length minus 1. If you take I less than, it can be array dot length. I am iterating through the array. Whenever I am iterating through the array at I equal to 0, I am at array of I. If I equal to 0, if my visited visited of 0, first element. So basically for this Boolean variable, initially the value will always be, default value will be there. So visited of I, what you will do is you will simply say continue. When you say continue, we are skipping the iteration. After that, what we will do is we will take a count variable, int count equal to 1. Then inside this, we will go for another loop, int j equal to 1. Let me write the code. After that, I'll try to explain. J equal to I plus 1, j less than array dot length, j plus plus. So here now, in this array, let's say I is at 0, then j will be at 1. If I is at 1, j will be at 2. If I is at 2, j will be at 3. Means we are consecutive elements, we are trying to get the values. So if array of I, if one element is equal to the consecutive element, for equal to, we'll take double equal to because it's a comparison operator. Single equal to is the assignment operator, right? We discussed this before in operators video. If my consecutive elements are equal, then what I will do is I'll increase the count size. I'll simply increase the count size. And because they're equal, I'll just make a note of my visited of j. You can visited of j. You can take j or I. Anything should be fine. For this element, it is true. Initially, the default value is false. Visited is false. Initially, always default value is false. So if they are equal, we'll note it down as true. Now, let me run the program and then come back to the execution and explain once again. Array of I plus count. So this is the expected output. Let me run the program. So 1 is repeated twice. 1 is repeated twice. 2 is repeated thrice. 3 is repeated once. And 4 is repeated once. So here what I will do is, initially it seems very simple, but when you go and try to debug the program, it might become a little bit complicated. So initially I'll come here. I have an array. What I have did is I have initialized a Boolean array with the name of visited with the same size. This will also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements. So this visited array is nothing but a combination of false. Default value is false always for 7 times. Okay. Then if I come here in the first iteration, I takes values from 0, 1, 2, so on up to 6 because the size of the array is 7. So let's concentrate at one iteration for the value I equal to 0, then the logic would be same for everything. When I equal to 0, what we are trying to do is if visited of 0, and if visited of 0 means this statement if is inside a if block. That means we are checking if visited of 0 equal to true. Instead of writing that, I have written like this. If visit, I can write like this also. Visited of I equal to true. So the compiler says can be simplified to visited of I. If I say simplified, this will be removed. That's why I written like that. If visited of 0, in visited of 0, initially we know that all the values are false, default, by default. But we are checking if it is true by any chance, you continue, skip this iteration. When you skip this iteration, you come out of the loop. You come out of this block, you just skip this. Then after that, you come down when j equal to 1, here j equal to 1 and I equal to 0. And in this step, what you will do is array of 0, is it equal to array of 1? That means at array of 0, what is the value that you have? You have 1 and you have 2. Is these two equal? Actually, the answer is false. If it is false, we don't go inside the loop, we come out of the loop. So we'll come to the next iteration. In the next iteration, we have come here, I value is 1. And again, visited of 1 is, we are checking if visited of 1 is true. Visited of 1 is not true. First one is false. It's visited of 1 is still false. Then we'll come here. Now j value is 2 and I value is 1. We are checking array of 1 is equal to 2. At array of 1, we have 2 here, and array of 2, we have 2 here. We are checking the condition if 2 equal to 2, which actually is true. 2 equal to 2, true. So we come inside here, count value, initially it was 1. So for every element, the count is basically 1, right? If an element is present, that is present for one time. That's why we have taken count the default value as 1. If it is repeated, then the count value will be increased by 1. This time it is 2. It is 2 for what value? For element with value 2, the count is 2. Visited of j What is the j value? That is 2. Visited of j equal to true. This time 0, 1, 2. Here we'll say it is true. Then we'll go out of the loop. Like that, we will keep on continuing. And when we are trying to print at array of I, the count value, we are still inside this loop, right? We're still inside this loop. For array of 0, it is false. The count value will be 1. For array of 1, here when j equal to 2, we are looking at the value of 2. At array of 1, we have 2. The count is, that is 2 is repeated 2 times. That's where we get the value of 2. Let me run this program. So you get the value like this. One value is repeated 2 times, 2 is repeated 3 times, 3 is repeated once, and 4 is repeated once. This line, you have to look at it very carefully, then only you will understand. So when the count value is increased, then it will be printed. This is a little bit tricky program, but what you have to do is try to understand the logic, try to practice it a couple of times, try to run it in debug mode. This is the debug mode. Just click on this. I'm spending some considerable amount of time on this program because this is a little bit tricky program. So we have clicked on the debug mode, right? Okay, when I want to click on the debug mode, what I can do is I can place some debug points here. Like here, if this is their count value visited of I and this, okay. Let me try to run for a couple of iterations. When I click and run, initial values are like this. Then if I want to go to the next iteration, if I want to go to the next breakpoint, what I will do is I click resume. So initially you see all these values are false. That's what I explained, right? Visited initially all these values are false. I value is 0, array length is this, visited of I is false. I am quickly taking a tour of the debug mode here, but what you are expected to do is take these steps very slowly and try to understand. Then you will try to understand the logic behind it. Visited of j equal to false, array of j equal to 1, like how I've explained here. So if I go for the next iteration, let me see for the first time when we get an output on the console. So on the console, 1 is printed. So at this iteration, one value has been printed for 2 times. Like that, I can try to, try to debug the program and see. I'm stopping the debugging mode here. So this is all I wanted to cover in this video, the 3 programs, minimum, maximum, reversing an array, and finding the frequency of elements. Do practice these programs. And in the next video, what we will try to do is we will try to understand how code can be pushed to GitHub using Git commands. So this program I will be pushing to GitHub, that is an online repository where our code stays forever on the internet. We can access all the programs on the internet. The expectation is from the next video, you will also write your code and push every program I will be pushing to GitHub at the end of the sessions. For one program or a couple of 2 to 3 programs, I will show how to push into GitHub. So going forward, you will be also pushing your code to GitHub. And when you push the code, expectation is you share your GitHub URL in the comment section. And I will take a look at what all programs you have practicing, so that I'll understand that you're following with the videos. Whenever you post a GitHub comment with your GitHub link, whatever programs you have practiced, I will be able to look at it. So I'll understand, let's say I am on the 7th program, you practice till 3rd program. I'll understand you are at the 3rd program. And in the weekend, if you connect and you ask doubts on the fourth or the fifth program, I'll understand that you have covered till the fifth program or the fifth video in the series. Like that, you can be in sync with me and try to learn. Because just by watching the videos, you will not learn anything. By practicing the videos, taking time and spending on the code, you will learn. This is the unique teaching methodology that we are following at aArambh. Slowly, we will get used to it. Initially, it will be a little overwhelming, but then slowly you will get used to it and you will learn the gist of the programming. So thank you very much for watching the video till the end. Once again, welcome to aArambh, a gateway to the IT world, to the coding career. All the best for your future. Thank you very much.